Greetings, Christopher J. here with Gnome's Newcomers, and another great story to share in the spirit of truth, where we find out the real reasons why people are moving to South Dakota in masses. Extra special this week because we're going to talk internationally about Gnome's Newcomers, where we're having people move to South Dakota from across the pond. So I'm very blessed to be with Skylar today.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet, Skylar. So let's give our viewers just a little background first on your profession and what you did while you lived in London, because you just recently moved to South Dakota.
We did. So I am a UK immigration lawyer. I predominantly focus on business immigration. So that's companies sending workers to the UK. A lot of my clients are actually from the US. So I have a significant amount of people moving to the UK from Boston, Texas, and New York as well.
Okay. And you've been on a lot of TV shows, news networks in the UK.
Yes.
So you're quite well versed in a lot of the things going on internationally. So let's talk about COVID because of its international impact. Yeah. When you were in London, tell us what that was like in terms of how the government was handling that.
So it was very draconian at the time. And at one point during the COVID time, the UK government made it illegal to leave the country. And they required people to fill in a declaration of travel. If they did want to leave the country, they needed a legal reason to leave the country. And so the UK government had to approve and decide whether that reason was good enough to be able to leave the country.
And they were really the ones to make that decision.
They were.
It was just government
Yeah.
and nothing else.
Yeah.
How did that feel? Well, can you give us an example or two of how that affected your everyday life over there?
It makes you feel scared and stuck and trapped. And it was not a good feeling because the UK is an island basically. And so to know you are not allowed to leave the country, you're not allowed to leave that island, it was frightening. Now, I had a legal reason to leave the country for my work, so I was able to leave at one point. And when I returned, the UK government also required people to isolate for 10 days if they were coming back into the UK from overseas. And they would send either police officers or representatives of the UK government to make sure that people were isolating in their homes for 10 days. And they would also require that you took COVID tests that you bought you bought from the government or from one of the government's authorized sellers of these COVID tests.
You know, it's one thing to kind of control when you can leave a country, but now let's bring it down to like a neighborhood concept over there. What was it like in the neighborhoods in terms of what you could or couldn't do?
So the government was also encouraging people to report their neighbors. So they would tell people, if you see your neighbor doing something they shouldn't be doing that's against what we're saying you should do from a COVID perspective, you should report them to the police. And so this happened to people that we knew. They were reported for having a gathering in their home. It was a small gathering. I think it may have actually been a church gathering on a Sunday. And so they were dealing with some problems with the police because of doing that.
Boy, neighbors basically spying on neighbors.
Yeah.
In the midst of all this, you met your now husband,
Yes.
who came over from America in military service. Thank him for his service, of course. We always do that on Gnome's Newcomers. And you two met in London, and talk a little bit about your pathway from London, England to South Dakota, USA.
Yeah. So we had heard about Christy Gnome for not locking down South Dakota. So she is very known over in Europe, in the UK. And so we had heard about her, and we said we want to move there because we wanted freedom. We were tired of dealing with everything we were dealing with. Even in Spain, people we knew, they were having drones above their yards telling them they had to go back inside. They weren't allowed in their yards just for some fresh air. So we just wanted freedom at that point. And we were given the opportunity of potentially moving to South Dakota. The military gave us a list of potential options of where we could go. And we took certain places from that list and created our list of preferences. And we ended up getting South Dakota.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, Christy Gnome, our wonderful governor, is pretty well known over there.
She is. Everyone has heard about her for not locking down the state. And they were dealing with a lot of draconian rules over there, so it was very known what she was doing over here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is there anything else about your background, because it's quite fascinating in the practice of immigration and law, that you want to share with our viewers that you were maybe doing in London and how you're continuing to do that here in South Dakota?
Yeah, so I do legal commentary on a regular basis through news channels in the UK. I do that remotely, actually.
Okay.
And mainly it's GB News, but also other publications and networks.
Okay. GB for Great Britain, of
Yes,
course.
yes. I was also, when I was in London, I was working with Republicans Overseas UK. I was a board member there. I'm still involved with them, but I can't take on such a large role anymore because
Sure.
I'm over here now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, real quickly, we look at the UK and its relationship with the United States over the years historically, pretty much tied at the hip,
Yeah.
especially politically in upholding the values of the West.
Yeah.
Sadly, you've seen some of that deteriorate over in England, haven't you?
I have. Yeah, absolutely. So the UK, it does have a conservative government, but it doesn't really feel like it has a conservative government. And there's this, they're kind of known for being what's called blue Labour. Now, Labour is the equivalent of the Democrat Party, and so the Conservative Party is kind of known for being much more liberal, really. There's not
Sure.
really true conservatism there.
Yeah, it's too bad because our topic here is freedom, and
Yeah,
that's where
it's-
you're going to find it.
Exactly.
You bet. Skylar, we welcome your skills, your talents, and your experiences here to South Dakota. What a great way to strengthen our state. One final thought. Your child, I believe, is 2.
Yes.
And you're looking forward to, obviously, school soon for your child. What's going through your mind?
So I want to homeschool my son. I don't want a situation where he is being taught that he can be a boy or a girl. And so that is the main reason for my choice, along with some other reasons as well. But I'm going to be homeschooling him.
And obviously, you have a governor here who knows a boy is a boy and
Yeah.
a girl is a girl. And
Thank
that must be
goodness.
comforting. Thank
It is.
goodness. Absolutely. Amen. God bless. That must be comforting to your family.
Definitely, it absolutely is.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again, Skylar,
Thank
for
you.
being on Gnome's Newcomers. Well, there you have it, folks. The international version of Gnome's Newcomers, preserving America right here in South Dakota. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.